Welcome back, Crypto Degens. In this video, I want to talk about Sommelier. So this is a new project that's I've come across recently, and I think it's quite interesting because it's doing something that I think is quite novel that hasn't really been done before in the DeFi space, and in particular in Ethereum. So what is Sommelier? So it says, welcome to Sommelier, the new co-processor for Ethereum. Move your DeFi assets into higher yields faster and cheaper. So it gives you kind of a summary, and I guess the main thing to focus on is this automated keyword. So automated signature management for Ethereum transactions enable automated DeFi trading for increased liquidity, momentum, and yield capture. So basically, what they're trying to do is automate some of your DeFi trading. So for example, one of the use cases they give is impermanent loss protection. If you are a liquidity provider on Uniswap and you want to make sure that you exit LPing before the price of the two assets diverge in order to minimize your impermanent loss, you'd have to manually watch that at the moment and do the remove transaction when it's opportune for you to do so. So with Sommelier, they're saying that they will automate that process for you. In other words, you go into a Uniswap pool, you tell them what the maximum amount of impermanent loss you're willing to suffer is, and Sommelier will automatically withdraw your liquidity when the time comes if the IR level will be exceeded. So to kind of better explain what Sommelier is trying to do, I thought it would be good to have a couple of images to help you out. So here's my hand-drawn image. At the basic level, this is your wallet, making a transaction to a contract on the Ethereum network. So let's say this is a Uniswap pool, for example. Now, if I wanted to automate the removal of my liquidity later on from the pool, I would need someone to send a transaction to the pool on my behalf at a later date in time when I'm not at my computer. So one way I could do that is to have a server that's running somewhere on the internet. I tell the server, here's my private key, or maybe I sign a transaction beforehand, that's better. I give that to the server and I say, please execute this on my behalf at any point in time in the future when the impermanent loss will exceed a certain amount. So basically, to stop me from losing money, please execute this at the right time in future when I'm not around. Now, the problem with this model is the server is centralized, unlike the blockchain. So if the server goes down, or if the people running or hosting the server make some malicious changes, or an accident happens, then the server won't be able to execute my transaction when the time comes. So Sommelier's key innovation here is to think, well, what if we replace the server with a blockchain? And that's basically what it is. So instead of having a single server or set of servers in the cloud that you need to trust, why not have an actual blockchain that does it for you? Because blockchains are reliable, they're trustworthy, they're decentralized, they are replicated across the globe. So they have all the qualities we want from a system that needs to be resilient and always up and never down. So that's basically the innovation that Sommelier brings. And I think it's important to focus on this because even though their sales pitch on their website is about DeFi, mainly about DeFi or lowering gas fees, in reality, the actual architecture allows them to do pretty much anything on your behalf. So any kind of transaction you want to execute on your behalf at some point in future, Sommelier can do this. And that's something that no one's really done yet in the blockchain space. As far as I'm aware, no other project really offers this. I guess it's a little bit unusual because the other thing is they're really betting on Ethereum. So they're not really doing this for any other blockchain but Ethereum. That doesn't mean they couldn't do it for other blockchains. They could, but Ethereum is currently where all the value is locked up in terms of DeFi, even in terms of NFTs and other projects. So it makes sense for them to be focusing on Ethereum. But Sommelier itself isn't built using Ethereum. So Sommelier is actually built using the Cosmos SDK. It's worth just going into what's special about this SDK and why they're using this. And to do that, we need to understand what Cosmos is. So Cosmos is, if you've watched my last video, I talk about homogeneous versus heterogeneous blockchains. And Cosmos is an example of a heterogeneous blockchain or a heterogeneous sharded blockchain. So fundamentally speaking, in Cosmos, unlike in Ethereum version 2, where you have multiple shards, in Cosmos, every shard is actually a completely separate blockchain. And then they all link together through what they call hubs. and that's how they communicate with each other. But Cosmos's architecture goes a little deeper than that. So fundamentally, what Cosmos and the Cosmos team are saying is that instead of building your application on a blockchain by writing smart contracts for that chain, say, for example, Solidity contracts on Ethereum, why don't you actually build a blockchain dedicated for your application? And they use this diagram to sort of illustrate this. So every blockchain is comprised of 3 layers: the networking layer, the consensus layer, and the application layer. So the networking is just your basic internode communication. The consensus layer is proof of work, proof of stake, proof of authority, whatever consensus protocol that you're running. And then the application that sits on top of these two is the actual essence of your blockchain, or what it does. So in Bitcoin's case, this is just transferring money from one person to another. In Ethereum's case, it's running smart contracts as well. In some other blockchain, it could be something else. And so what Cosmos is saying, and what their SDK, their software development kit, is about, is they say, use this common framework for all blockchains and then just customize the top part. Then we can reduce the amount of work it takes for someone to build a new blockchain. And then instead of you building smart contracts on an existing blockchain and then having to share that blockchain and the transaction space with all the other apps, you can just build your own blockchain. And Cosmos is built using Tendermint, which is a proof of stake protocol. It's one of the earlier proof of stake protocols, and as such, it's not, in my opinion, as developed or as advanced as some of the newer ones like Polkadot or Elrond or Near. It doesn't do sharding, so it's a single chain blockchain, but it's still pretty good, and you still get a high TPS from this, so it's still worth using. And so this is the SDK that Sommelier uses, and that's why they're able to do this chain that effectively talks to Ethereum on your behalf. So the consensus and networking layer is just Tendermint, as comes with the Cosmos SDK, and they've just customized this application layer to do a very, very specific thing. And what's really interesting and what's really cool, I think, is the lead developer on Sommelier is actually the former lead developer on Tendermint and the Cosmos SDK, which is one of the things that gives me a lot of confidence in this project. So Zaki Manian, he's well known in the crypto space, and the fact that he actually built a lot of the Cosmos SDK tells me that they're going to be able to build Sommelier pretty well using this SDK, and gives me a lot of confidence that they'll deliver this product. So right now, there is a little demo on the site, but it's not really that substantial. They just allow you to add liquidity to Uniswap pools, and they show you which pools had the best or worst returns on investment over the past 24 hours, 7 days. At the moment, the Sommelier blockchain isn't running, and so there's no automated loss management or anything like that. So this is just to kind of give you a taste of what the UI might look like, and you can go and venture into this yourself and try it out. I've actually added some liquidity through this, but to be honest, it's no different to going to Uniswap and adding that liquidity. Obviously, in future, once they have Sommelier running, this will do a lot more, and I guess there'll be an incentive for people to come and add their liquidity through this interface, because then they'd get the benefit of using the Sommelier tools as well. Just to remember that this hasn't really been done before. There really isn't anything out there right now that allows you to defer a transaction to some point in the future to execute on your behalf in a reliable manner. And the reliable part is really key. And having a blockchain be responsible for executing that transaction for you is really the innovation that Sommelier brings to the table. So what does the roadmap look like? So right now, they're hard at work building the actual blockchain. They've got impermanent loss tracking live. I think that's done. And the mainnet's going to go live in Q2. So by the end of June, hopefully the mainnet will be there. And in Q3, they're going to have automated DeFi and all kinds of good stuff happening on Uniswap, Sushi, Binance Chain. Oh, they're going to support Binance Chain as well. So I think it's going to be a really rapid escalation, and the roadmaps, we're going to see the results of this year. And I know that the SOMM token should be coming out in Q2. Now, it doesn't say here, it did say it before, but I know that the SOMM token, so Sommelier is a blockchain, and it's going to have its own native token called SOMM, which means we'll be able to buy it, and hopefully it's going to be a good investment. So last I checked, it was going to come out sometime in Q2. Overall, Sommelier is a bet that Ethereum will be the dominant player in the global economy. I find this actually quite interesting in some ways, given that Zaki worked so long on Cosmos, and Cosmos is itself competing to be a player. But as we all know now, Ethereum really is here to stay, and it makes a lot of business sense for these guys to be focusing on Ethereum. But of course, because they're a completely separate blockchain and they're not dependent on Ethereum, it'd be very easy for them to repurpose Sommelier to work for other blockchains. And indeed, it looks like they're already going to support Binance Chain from the well. I'm assuming this is supposed to say Binance Smart Chain because Binance Chain doesn't really have smart contracts. That's all in Binance Smart Chain. And that's obviously they're able to support that because it's virtually identical to Ethereum apart from the consensus algorithm. So to wrap things up, where are the opportunities right now? So we have to wait until the SOMM token gets launched. They say that it's best to keep up with their social media channels to find out when that's going to be. I'm predicting sometime in Q2, if that's when the mainnet's going to be. They can't launch their mainnet without their tokens. So according to their roadmap, that's when the mainnet's coming live. And so that's when the SOMM token has to come out. Apart from that, they are looking for validators. So Sommelier public validator invite, that will go out in the next quarter as well. So from my understanding, Tendermint can run between 100 and 150 validators. And in order for Sommelier to succeed, they're going to need a decentralized set of validators. And they've already said in their Discord that they're going to open it up to people from the community. So another way to make money with this is to actually become a validator on the network, because validators will be given some tokens to start off with, or I think maybe at a big discount compared to the market price, the initial market price. I think that's probably what they'll do. I don't know for sure. And then they'll earn some tokens from staking and validating them on the Sommelier blockchain. And I'm thinking about whether to do this myself. I'm tempted to do it. I think this is going to be a great product. I think it's going to have big demand. But in any case, I'm definitely going to buy myself a big bag of SOMM tokens when they come out. And I think this is a project that you should keep on your radar for sure.